Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Building Stronger Neighborhoods, Neighborhood Nuggets. I am your host tonight, Sadie Blue, and super excited on tonight. Hey, today is December 1st. Can you believe it? 1 month is left in 2020, and we are making it through it in spite of it all. So glad you joined me tonight as I have someone who I'm excited to call friend, my friend, and I say that truly. We rub shoulders together in the neighborhood, share resources and information with each other. And tonight, she has taken some time out of her busy schedule to actually be on with us tonight. So please, will you welcome my friend Jamilla Pinder tonight? So tonight, Jamilla, good evening. How are you? You got to unmute for me so I can hear your voice. There we go. Hi, Jamilla.
Hi, Miss Sadie. How are you?
I am good. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Neighborhood Nuggets. I know your schedule is busy, so I do mean it when I say thank you for taking some time out to talk with us on tonight. So tonight, as we get started, Jamila, the first thing I want you to do is to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you personally, whatever you want to share, and then tell us exactly what your title is, and briefly, and I say briefly, the work that you do, because I know you're so passionate about your work. It's on
Yeah, definitely. My name's Jamilla Pinder. I am a native of Greensboro, which is probably why I am so passionate about the work that I do. Just being able to grow up here and just seeing the things that have happened in the city and see where we're going. So which kind of drives me to do the work I do, which is I work at Cone in the Healthy Communities Department. And most of my work is around looking at ways to address those social determinants of health. And so that's everything from transportation, housing, food, employment, education, how all those things are social drivers and contribute to a person's overall health and well-being. So grateful for the opportunity to do meaningful and purposeful work, and definitely being able to do that in a place where I have grown up. And so I'm honored to be able to sow back into the communities that sowed into me.
Well, I'm grateful. I know as your friend and someone who works with you in the community some, um, even to say that you're passionate is still not the word does not even begin to illuminate just really how driven you are in the work that you do. I almost feel like not only is this your job, it's your purpose in life. Like you're so driven. And so tonight, for those who are joining us, first of all, good evening and thank you. Let me share kind of where we are and why it's important that you listen in on tonight. Um, Jamila, when I asked Jamila to send me some bullet points of some things that we would talk about tonight because she's so passionate about everything about healthy people, people being healthy. You cannot have a healthy community without having healthy people because people make up neighborhoods and communities. And so I want to just briefly and quickly go down this list, and then we're going to pull out a couple of things that I really want to nail tonight. Jamila, when I said send me some stuff, this is what I got: food access and nutritional needs. And we're going to talk about that tonight because you do a few things around that. Neighborhood collaboration, porch talk, walk and talk, plant therapy, living life versus doing life. That is amazing. I want to talk about that a little bit. Whole person care, so mental, emotional health and mindfulness, the benefits of being outdoors, thinking of you, acts of kindness, 30-day kindness challenge. I want to leave us with that on tonight, Jamila. And then how do we take Zoom to another level? And this, we'll touch on some of this a little bit, intergenerational serving. And then lastly, neighborhood scavenger hunt and becoming curious about life again. So Jamila gave me a lot to work with. And so tonight, we're going to kind of, some things we will umbrella, as we talk, because we only have 30 minutes. And if you was to ask Jamilla, how long, when I was talking to Jamilla, she was like, I could talk about this stuff for hours and days because I'm so passionate. I was like, we have 30 minutes. So we're going to have to figure this out. So tonight, Jamilla, the first thing I want us to talk about a little bit is food access and nutritional needs, and share with everybody a little bit about what you do. I know you do the mobile units and all that stuff, but also why do you feel and why do you know, based on some of this is things you've seen, some of it is statistics, why it's important to make sure that that need is met first, because we talked about that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it goes back to, I hate to get all theoretical, but Maslow's hierarchy of basic needs. It's a basic need. So the same way that you need fuel for a car, or you need to plug in, it's cold outside, so you need to plug in a heater so that you can get heat. It's the same way that you need food that's going to be able to give you the nourishment that you need so that you can have a good quality of life, so that you can just do the basics, just the minimum. And so when you're thinking about food, and a lot of my work around, of course, is around food is medicine. How do we look at food from a much more positive standpoint and not demonizing food? Food is one of those great denominators that brings everybody together, regardless of what language you speak, what cultural, what your background is, what ethnicity, what race. The common denominator is food. It's almost like the universal language is a smile. Well, food is that one thing that when you're happy, you have food. When you're sad, you have food. Do I need it so that, the average person needs at least 1,200 calories a day, And so you need that food. And so when you're looking at food as medicine and being able to have access to food, it's something that's always going to be with us. We always need food. We always need water. Those are the sustenance that are life-giving for us. And so with that, some of the programs and projects that I coordinate, have to do with making sure people have access to food. When you look at the number of people, and especially when you look at Guilford County in particular, the number of people that reside in a food desert, or the number of people, 1 in 8 people, I believe the most recent data, 1 in 8 people are going without food. When you look at it, that 1 in 8 or 1 in 6 people that are experiencing some type of food insecurity or food hardship, 1 in 4 are children. And so what is it that we can do to be able to help, not necessarily solve for, but how can we address it from an immediate relief standpoint? But then also, what does it look like for us to be able to look at what type of programs, what type of policies do we need to have in place so that we don't continue in this perpetual cycle of people going without food? Some of the
So
things.
no, you're fine. I want to slow down for a minute right there. So it is amazing that 1 out of every 4 children are dealing with hunger or food insecurity. I want to make sure that people, as they're listening, understand that means if we have a group of 100 children, 25 of those more than likely are hungry without food. Think about it. And sometimes we don't know who they are. Other times we do, but oftentimes we don't. And especially as I think about now, and that's why I wanted to slow down for a minute. We have, our kids are, at least for this week, I know they are back at home, virtual learning, K-2, I think goes back to school next week. And the rest of our students are at home, at least until January. And I know for me, it's very dear to my heart when I think about a hungry child. It breaks my heart. It does. And so one of the things I want people to think about tonight is don't take for granted that your neighbor has food. Don't do that. And if they don't have food, Jamilla, I want you to share a few resources, especially projects that you're working on where people can go and get food. And I want everybody listen, guys. It's not about, oh well, you shouldn't have did this or you shouldn't have did. Food is essential for everybody, and we work hard in this community, in these communities, to make sure that everyone has access. And I'm so thankful for you, Jamilla, because you do what you can to bring the food to the community, so that that one barrier of transportation, at least we try to address that and bring it into communities. And we want people to be able to get to where the resource is. So will you share a little bit about the programs that we have going on right now?
Yeah, definitely. So you said it right there. How do we bring food to a neighborhood and a block level? So many times we're asking people to go out to go get the food, but don't look at what are some of those barriers that get in the way. And so one of the things that we've been able to do since the pandemic, we've partnered with various organizations. We've gotten grant funding to support, but we are doing community dinners at the neighborhood level. So I partner with faith-based organizations, other community-based organizations, and just individuals who just want to find a way to serve and be able to give back, where we're able to stage and put up food distribution sites throughout the community, but it's at the neighborhood level. And by doing so, not only are we able to help address some of those food insecurity needs that people might have, and then some of the times it might just be just lifestyle as well, because when you look at older adults where they might be able to cook, but it might be a little bit harder. So how can we help provide that meal? So the fact that we are able to provide a hot meal, and again, working for a healthcare organization and just looking at health and well-being, making sure that we have a healthy meal and a nutrition meal. So also looking at it for individuals that may be experiencing some type of chronic care illness, be it diabetes, hypertension, end-stage renal. So taking it a step further with not just making sure people have food, but what does it look like to really make sure people have access to food that will help them maintain a healthy quality of life. And so again, working with churches. So there's several neighborhoods around Greensboro, one off of Phillips Avenue. We have one over in Eastside, Greensboro, Cottage Grove Collaborative, Glenwood, off of Gate City Boulevard. So being really intentional about, we have food, we're providing food, and we're getting food to those that might need food, but also most importantly is building that relationship and allowing people to show up and have a space where they can show up and truly be vulnerable, and taking away that negative stigma that's associated with, as you can say, oh, I'm going to wait in line. What does that look like? And so our food distributions, where we partner with certain restaurants to help provide the food. Also, we have mobile food. We have a mobile food truck where we partner with Out of the Garden, where we provide food trucks. We also partner with some local business, because again, I'm all about always looking for opportunities to support our local businesses as well. So working with some of our local farmers to be able to get access to fresh fruits and vegetables as well. So when we're looking at some of our food sites where we're providing meals, it's not just having a prepared meal, but in addition to the prepared meal, having some non-perishable foods, and like I said, some fresh fruits and vegetables as well, to have a mixture of it too. So allowing people to have a choice in the decision making and what they're getting, and asking, what does that look like, and not assuming like, oh, this is what your need is. And I feel like when you get to it at a neighborhood level, when you get to ask and you're engaging with people who live in your neighborhood, that's where that support system actually comes up. And then you're able to look at other ways on how can we really try to solve for our own problems versus someone else coming in and telling us this is what we need.
Right. So I think, and I will share with people who are listening. So our church is actually one of the sites that distributes food once a week on Wednesdays from 4 to 5 p.m. And one of the things that Jamilla has helped me to understand in building relationship is also being able to ask questions about what other needs do you have, because we realize that we can give you a meal and that's going to feed you one meal, but often people have other lacks or other areas that need addressing. And so being able to build those relationships and begin to ask those questions. So this is more holistic. It's about more than just a hot meal, even though that is super, that is great, right? I wish somebody would bring me a hot meal to my house and drop it off. I mean, we have some really good meals that we get. So we have a question, Jamilla. It says, how can people reach out to get food through these wonderful programs? So maybe can you give a website or two that we can drop in the comments? Like, how can they find out where distribution sites are, or whatever is going on?
Yeah, definitely. So there's a couple of different avenues in which we kind of advertise and make this stuff available. So I know that there has been a resurgence. I don't know if people are familiar with the Green Book and the Blue Book, and it used to be a book where you can go and look and find out what resources are available. Definitely the city's website, because there's a city task force that works on addressing food insecurity, and part of that lists different organizations that are providing meals. In addition to that, I know that we also work with the school system as well, with some of the schools and the social workers at the schools as well. And so I get a lot of calls from some of the social workers asking where, because families are calling up to the schools, of course, saying, we're having these needs. And so I can definitely provide my information. In addition to that, some of the sites that I just mentioned, and I can put that together, and then we can send that out so that people have some places where they can go and land and find out where all the food resources are, because they are changing, and that's the thing. Things are constantly evolving. And so I definitely keep a pulse on the food, and so I can definitely do that. But definitely the schools, the food banks, and I can definitely compile a list and send it to you, and then you can pass it out. And people are always welcome to reach out to me if they have a question as well, and I try to link them up the best way I can.
And so that'd be great. So just so everyone knows who's viewing, I have wonderful coworkers working behind the scenes to make it easier for me and Jamilla. And so they're going to drop some links in the comment section. And then Jamilla, when she sends some stuff, we can drop it. Or Jamilla, you can go on Facebook and drop it in the comment section, because this will be available for people to continue to view. And I know that people are still, asking where can we get food, or and it's not always for a person, but sometimes your neighbor, your neighbor struggling. Let's share and provide resources, which kind of leads me into the next piece. So, oh my gosh, it's already 6:50. Like, we got 10 minutes. How are we gonna do this?
Sorry.
No. So I want to talk a little bit about community engagements during the pandemic, because you brought up some really cool things to do, and I want to make sure that as people um, view this, as they go back and look at it, that we give them some ideas of some things to do. One that helps them to check on their neighbor, right? It helps them to still stay engaged in the neighborhood. And I know three of the things that you talked about, I wanted four maybe. Walk and talk, which is one. Um, um, uh, did I do that? I just did that. Porch talk, which is one. Now I want to talk about porch talk because it takes me back to my grandmother's day, and so we'll talk about that a little bit. And then how do we take Zoom to another level, right? Because you talked about things like bingo, book club, bake and talk series, that type of thing. So let's talk a little bit first about. I've given people three things. If you are a community leader in a community and y'all trying to figure it out, that's three things right there that you guys can work with. The first one I want to talk about is porch talk. What was your thoughts around porch talk?
Well, in this lovely age of quote unquote social distancing, it's a beautiful way to be able to engage and get outside. One of the things that people, I think they get limited with, oh, I can't go anywhere. I can't do the things I used to do. And I always say, just kind of pause and then kind of use your five senses to really look at where you are and what's happening. And when you really take that pause and you look, one of the things, if you have a front porch, if you have a stoop, if you have the side of a sidewalk, you know, right where you are, just pause right now, just like really look around and think and walk outside. And what do you see? And so if you have a neighbor on this side, or you might have a neighbor on that side, what does it look like to really be able to engage? And if you're trying to think about, I've heard there's tons of research out there, but I think it's funny. It's like the third person in the conversation. So what's the third person in the conversation if you're trying to drum up a conversation? It can be something as simple as, you see that light over there? How long has that light been out? Oh, well, did you see such and such? Did you hear this? That's the third person in the conversation to be able to drum up ideas. Or if you're looking for other ideas on how to prompt and get conversations started, you know, go to journal. I'm a big Pinterest fan. Go to Pinterest, go, you know, look up journal prompts and find different questions, but just kind of take yourself out of your normal routine, go outside, chat with somebody, or even make an appointment or be intentional about saying, you know, I normally don't know my neighbors, or I normally don't know this person, but I'm going to be intentional in doing a coffee break, which could be a chat. So being able to do a porch talk, which is back in the day, everybody used to come over to the porch and say, we can't do that. But how do you plan a conversation with the person that's in front of you, behind you, beside, on this side or that side, and really start having those conversations and have something to look forward to? Because like they say, the anticipation of being able to do something, you find more fulfillment than the actual activity itself. So being able to look forward to Fridays at 5 o'clock, I'm going to have porch talk with Miss Sadie across the street, you know, and then you start building up that momentum and that excitement, where then you have something to look forward to, versus, and especially now with seasonal, I hate to say, but seasonal depression, you know, as you know, it gets darker earlier, you know, that's kind of hard for some people. So again, be intentional about saying, if I'm going to get up early in the morning, if I'm being intentional about saying I'm going to, even with so many people working at home now, with being virtually, being intentional about putting a timer on your clock and saying, okay, at 11:15, I'm going to take a 10-minute break, and I'm going to take a 10-minute break with my neighbor, and we're going to do something, being intentional about having a conversation about something that then can lead to something else, and you invite somebody else to be a part of that. So the power of one, so to speak.
So I want to encourage people to do that, to get out the house and just have those brief conversations. Now, between me and my neighbor, there's a fence. And sometimes I'll hear, like today, I heard my neighbor in the backyard with the lawnmower. And I was like, oh, perfect time to go speak, right? And so we're able to have those conversations. And you're right, we chat. So it's nothing heavy or deep, like, you know, how you doing during the pandemic? And we have a big pecan tree, for those who want to say it like that, in our backyard. And so sometimes we talk about how the squirrels are just having a freaking field day with the pecans everywhere, or have you picked up any, or aren't they small this year? But just that simple talk is important. We have another question, a good question here. As always, it says, I often see people on my Facebook page who need food who don't have transportation. I don't know these people personally, but what advice do we give them? So I think that kind of goes back to Jamilla, of having that resource available, that list of resources. What do you think?
I agree. It's being informing yourself so that you can be able to inform others. And so a lot of times when you get information, or even like now, it's like, oh, why am I going to listen to this? This has nothing to do with what I'm thinking about. And I tell people all the time, you might not need it personally for yourself, but I'm pretty sure somebody within your immediate circle might benefit from this information. And that's an awesome opportunity to be able to pay it forward. And so familiarize yourself, find out what's going on. Google, you know, do a Google search and say, Google search Greensboro food distributions or food pantries and what's going on. And then you can be able to pass that information on to someone else. And again, that's the beauty too of, I'm not sure if people are familiar with Nextdoor. Nextdoor is a good opportunity if you put in your zip code and your you put in your address and your zip code, it lets you know what neighborhood associations that are near you. It also lets you know what's going on in that immediate area in your community. And so from there, again, like you say, you see these food needs, you see people are publishing. The more you inform yourself and educate yourself on what resources that are out there, then you'll be able to then pass along those resources to others. And you can do that safely by just passing on the course, because right now, because of pandemic, but just educate yourself. You can never over educate yourself. You can never over communicate. And so just find out what's out there and then pass that information along. And then if you want to take it a step further, you be that change. So you get 2 or 3 people to come together and say, hey, this is something I would really like to do. And how can we adopt, like people adopt streets, adopt a neighborhood, adopt a block, be intentional about saying this is something that we're going to do. And it doesn't have to be something like we're going to do this every single day to address this issue. No, it could be something that starts off as small as once a month. This is the commitment that we're going to do, or once a week, we're going to be able to try to do this. But finding those small little tasks or acts of kindness can really truly make a huge impact on someone's life. And one of the things I realized, I run into more and more people, we assume a lot that people know, but you'd be surprised how many people don't know, because right now we're in this technological age where there's so much information, and it's like, where do I begin when I have all this information? And so the more you can equip yourself and then make it more personal, the better it will be received by the person that might be experiencing some of these challenges right now.
Well, I know we have 2 minutes left. And what I know this is your passion, so time goes quick because you could talk about this forever. What I have done, guys who are watching, is my people behind the scene, and let me give a big thank you to them tonight for helping us. I've asked Kevin Lundy, who's on tonight, as well as Tracy Poole, who's on tonight. Thank you to both of you all tonight. I've asked Kevin to drop the neighborhood ideas in the comment section of Facebook about the walk and talk, scavenger hunt, porch talk, taking Zoom to another level as we think about Zoom bingo and baking and book club and all that good stuff, because I realize that we're running out of time. I want to leave us with living life versus doing life. I want to give you like 30 seconds to talk about that, because you dropped that on me and it's been on me. Living life versus doing life. Will you just explain that?
Yeah, we are in this place where I learned a long time ago where it's have, do, be versus be, do, have. And so we get caught up in the monotony of just existing and going through the motions. And it's like, how do we really take this time that we have now and pause and really just say, what are those things that bring me joy? And how can I start incorporating that into my life? And then taking it a step further, how do I then spread it so that other people can be able to, it becomes contagious, so other people can have that same opportunity. And it starts with saying, how am I living and how am I being? And once you do that personal reflection of how you're showing and how you're occupying this space right now, then you're able then to pass it on to someone else, just like you said with the neighbor, or you're able to pass it on, like someone mentioned about the Facebook. And that's when you truly start getting into the place of living life versus doing life. And so that would be the last thing I would say, is just, I'm all about these pauses right now. And just really truly being mindful of what's happening around me and what's happening within me. And then again, taking that and then being able to give to someone else that then can give to someone else and then gives to somebody else, which starts that movement. So that living life movement versus just doing life movement.
So I love it. That is a good place for us to close on tonight. I want to encourage you, if you are actually on Facebook still, I know some of my family was actually on tonight, and we're getting ready to jump on another Zoom call about coronavirus. Facebook Live about coronavirus. But if you're on tonight, if you will just do me a favor and post it to your page tonight, I'm living life and not doing life. And allow people to even ask, what does that mean? Because that's being intentional. It really is. My godmother, who I love dearly, would say to me, she said it many times, Miss Sadie, she would say, I've lived life. Life didn't live me.
Oh, I like that.
We would just fall out laughing as she shared stuff. She said, "Baby, I've lived life. Life didn't live me." And it is amazing when you wrap your head around that intentional living. Intentional living. Jamilla, thank you so much for joining us on tonight for our neighborhood nuggets. I have truly enjoyed you and the information that you shared. I know that it will be a wonderful blessing to others as they continue to view this session over the next few days. Thank you to all of you all who have joined in on tonight. I hope you will take this information, share it, think about your neighbor, think about those hungry children, and don't take for granted that everybody has what they need. Let's be good neighbors to each other. Thank you again to those behind the scenes who make this look so easy for me, to Kevin Lundy and Tracy Poole. You guys rock. To Michelle Soros, who's not on tonight. She's on vacation without my permission, and didn't take me with her, but she rocks too. And until the next time, I look forward to seeing you all again in 2 weeks, hopefully. But stay safe, wear your mask, social distance, and wash your hands. Hope to see you again real soon. Have a great night.
Thank you.